Hey everyone, my name is Sami, and in this audio recording, I'm going to speak about writing clean code in programming. So, clean code is not actually what most people think. Most people think clean code as proper syntax, clean proper syntax. That's not really what clean code is, or how your code is written. That's really not clean code. So, let me give you two examples. Let's say you have to write a script to fetch data from somewhere. It could be an API. Let's say it's an API, okay? And you write the script, okay? The script takes some parameters, fetches the data, and stores the data into the database. Simple, okay? Now you do that. And you do that in a way where you're where you have created three different classes, okay? One to fetch the data, second class to clean the data, and the third one that actually stores the data into the database. Okay, now a lot of people might think that's clean code. It's separated, each class has its own functions, and at the end of the day it looks nice. Maybe it's easy to follow as well, maybe it's easy to make changes as well. Now, there is a second person who does the same thing. The end goal is still the same, but they do all that without a class in a simple function. This function takes parameters, it makes the API call, cleans the data, and within the same function, it stores the data into the database. Now, you might think this second piece of code is not really good. It's not clean. That's what a lot of people might think, that it's not clean. But in reality, and you would be shocked to hear that a lot of the experienced programmers are going to tell you that the second piece of code in this particular context is perfectly fine. So I guess you can see where I'm going with this. Writing clean code has so much to do with the business and the context you're writing it in. If all you're doing is writing a 50-line script that does 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things, then you don't need to separate it into 10 different classes, write repository pattern, and do all the fancy things. You don't need that. You could do all that in a simple script, or in a function, or it could just be procedural code as well. So knowing the business, the context in which you're writing your code is so important. This happened to me when I was a junior developer. I thought I knew everything about clean code, okay? I had read the books, I had applied the things here and there, and I could write decent code. And so once I was working for a company that deals with data a lot. And there was a point where I just couldn't figure out how to organize the code, okay? The difficulty came when it came down to cleaning the data and all that. The data was big, and it just got confusing to me. So despite knowing all about clean code, blah 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 blah, I still couldn't put together the things properly, So sorry, my phone was ringing. So I asked the CTO to help me out. Now, the CTO knew so little about writing code, but it took him 10 minutes and he figured out the problem. And he put the code in a way nicer, more organized way than I could imagine. Now I wonder, how can he actually do that? He knows everything about code less than me. Well, he could do that because he understood the business. And he removed all the trash, all the clutter from the code, and he knew exactly what to do. This comes down to knowing the business and the context in which you're writing. So that's so important. Now I'm gonna cover other things like making sure your functions are short. Okay, it's a good thing to keep your function short, but not always. Obviously I understand if it's like 50, 60, 70 lines long function, it can cause confusion. But long functions is not always a problem, it depending on what you're working on. A lot of the clean codes that I worked on, they have huge functions, but they're compact, they do one thing properly. Even though they're big, they do one thing properly and they do it very well. And you can use that function anywhere. And if you supply it something that it should not supposed to work with, it'll tell you. Okay, so long functions is not an issue. So that's what I think about clean code. I also think that once you have the initial draft of the code working and then you look at it again the next day or a couple days later, you can find a lot of flaws in that code, because you still have the mental image of what it's supposed to do and it's working. Now you look at it with fresh pair of eyes and you will be able to find some flaws. You'll be like, oh, this function could actually be a class in this instance, or this class, I don't know, we really need this class, or this object could be a simple array, and you would be able to point things out. But once you have the initial draft working, so doing revisions with your code helps you write clean code as well. Now, yeah, that's what I think about clean code. I think the more you understand the business, the more you understand about the tasks, the clearer the picture in your head, the clearer the code is gonna be. That's what I think. And anyways, thank you guys. Thank you for listening. And if you like this, please be sure to subscribe. Bye.